quick thing. At the time of this video coming out, Valentine's Day has already come and passed. I realize that. But I didn't really make a Valentine's Day art piece last week, so I thought, why not use today to just, since it's so close to Valentine's, it's only like 2 days away from actual Valentine's, because when this video is posted, it's Tuesday versus Sunday when we actually celebrate it. And I thought, you know, it could be fun. I've had this idea in my head for a while, but I had other projects get in the way, like my alicorn, and then I wanted to really do that star spawn last week with the washes. And you see, like a couple weeks ago, almost a month actually now, I had watched this show called Chowder. If anybody remembers Chowder, it was utter chaos and fun. But I figured might as well make some fan art of it. I finally had the chance to watch it all the way through. Growing up, I didn't have that opportunity to see all 3 seasons, every episode of each, and I finally did. So I decided I'd make some fan art, and I hope you guys like it.
So when drawing fan art, sometimes, especially like in this one, I have to make some sketches to try and figure out exactly how to draw. I use reference material, which I will have thrown up here that you can see that I used to figure out how to draw each character. I wanted to draw both Chowder and Panini for this drawing because Panini loves Chowder, and Chowder will always be her boyfriend, even if he is reluctant about it. Because Panini just loves him, and he just hasn't accepted the fact that he's her boyfriend yet. But I had to get a base idea, just sort of draw these two figure out how they're drawn. I usually do like at least one sketch first that is an exact as close to an exact copy as the actual art or like style. And that is what I'm doing here. And then after I do that, I go and I make the same poses, but I try to make it a little more in my style and get an idea of how I want that to look. And when doing that, what I wanted to do is I really wanted to stick with the fact of, in the show, they're mentioned to be like cat, bear, rabbit things. Like creatures, they're not real like animals, but they've got different animal characteristics. So with Chowder being very cat-like, I wanted him to be like accentuate the kind of like cat nose, because he has that cat-like features, like big fluffy fat kitty cat. So as you can see, I just sort of made some sketching there to get more of a cat nose going on and put a little more definition into his face and give him like really big fuzzy chubby cheeks. And then I just went and tried to draw his hat. With his hat and along with his body, using a lot of round shapes because he is a chunker. He's a chunky boy. So he's got to have big round shapes and everything. And this is before I had an idea in my head, but I wanted to figure out their actual character design before going and putting them into the idea that I want. The hardest part I had with both of these characters was getting their tails, because they have these really odd tails and I just struggled so hard. I wanted to make them fluffier than what they actually are in the show, but it was a struggle. Panini was also really hard to get her character down, like at least drawing her. I mean, my sketch turned out much better, I think, than my actual drawing of her, because I was able to really go with that fox-like nose that she has, and like push down the cheeks. But again, that's due to the angle of this sketch compared to the actual drawing. But I still really liked it in the end. She was fun though to like just sketch and everything. I thought she came out so cute. And again, I wanted to make her really fluffy, so like make her cheeks a little fluffy where it curls up, and point her nose out a little more, and give a little more definition into her bunny ears that are like tied up into a ponytail. So I gave like the inner ear a little bit. And then after I figured out their character designs and how I wanted to kind of implement my own style, I did a little sketch of what I wanted to do, which my thought was to just put like them in a heart. And of course, Panini grabbing onto Chowder, trying to kiss him, and he is very unwilling because he refuses to be her boyfriend, even though that's what he will be and that is what she wants. Because she loves him so much, and he just hasn't realized his love for her yet. And I really liked how this exaggerated little sketch. And honestly, it's what I had originally in my head, and then the actual drawing kind of changed. But I almost like the actual drawing with a little more, especially for like Chowder. And like it's not the exaggerate proportions, but I don't know, it really turned out fun. After doing the initial sketching, I went in and I just, with a colored pencil, or it's a color erase pencil, and I used this to sort of get the basic shapes and ideas first, and then I went in a little more detailed as time went in. I find using a colored pencil, as I've mentioned before, really helps because then it's not a lot less like the graphite, especially if you're like working with like markers. It's really nice to use, and since this drawing consists of a lot of pinks and purples, I thought the best color to use would be a purple pencil, because then even if there's like marks left over that don't get fully erased, I would still have it working well with the actual drawing, and it wouldn't be like all gross and muddy looking. Oh, here you can see I wanted to really exaggerate on her big lips. I struggled really hard getting Panini's lips just right. I think at the end I still struggled, but I don't really draw lips much, so And then after I did the line art, the initial sketching, I went in with line art. I used micron pens, and I don't usually use very thick. Sometimes I prefer to just use a brush, but this one I think I used, was it an 8? I can't remember. I think it was an 8. A little bigger than normal, but I thought it worked considering. In the actual show, I noticed a lot of the times they would use very thick lines and then sometimes thin lines. They had a lot of different line variation in their character designs, which I thought was quite interesting. And I wanted to kind of keep some of the stylistic choices that are used in the show and the characters, but also like do it in my own way as well. Like I gave more detail here with like the shoes, and of course a little fur texture, a little more proportionally correct, not terribly proportionally correct, but a little. Oh, and yeah, her little weird tail. Tails were a pain. One thing I did realize when I was trying to draw this and compare, and I even noticed it when I was doing the sketching, is I couldn't just have her like squeezing. I don't know why I couldn't figure out how to get her to just squeeze his body and make his head like go big. So instead what I did is I had her just sort of like grab his arms, like grab him at the wrist, like she's trying to pull him in. And then he's just like trying to get away, which is why his head's slightly turned, but he's like looking at her like because he's scared, because he really does not want to be kissed. Which granted, ladies and men, don't be doing this. This is just fun, cute little humor things, but don't actually go and try and make people kiss you when you don't want it, or when they don't want it, even if you really like them. We don't want to do that. Everybody has the right to say no. I do really like how I got the line art to make Chowder really frazzled though, and I actually didn't even draw his feet because I wanted to go with the whole idea of his feet are moving so fast that he can't get away, but he's like kind of spinning. And I liked that I bushed out his tail like he's just like a scaredy cat right now. And his claws coming out. I really liked how the line art came out, especially for Chowder himself. I thought it worked very well. And here I actually start coloring. I decided to use a mix of markers. I have a lot of Bics and Sharpies and Crayolas. I don't have a lot of very good markers. These are just markers I've had over the years that I've collected. I do hope to one day get some better markers, so then they're not as off. I have a very limited selection of certain colors that seem very nice, and because I don't have like actual alcohol markers, I find Bics are very good in keeping a somewhat smooth surface. Granted, a lot of mine are kind of drying out off and on. I actually think one of them completely dried out in this drawing. It was either a Bic or something else. But I find that they work fairly well for not having any alcohol markers. And while they are expensive, they're not as expensive as alcohol markers can be. But who knows, maybe one day I will actually get some alcohol markers, whether it's a Hoo-Hoo or Copic. We'll just have to see. And here I'm going in and I'm just dotting the dress because if you look in the actual drawing of, like the actual image of Panini, she's got some little green polka dots on her outfit. So I thought I'd just implement that into the drawing, and I really liked it. It made it a lot cuter just to have that bit of patterns. I'm actually thinking now, after having done this drawing, I want to add more patterns to clothing because, oh man, it's so cute. And speaking of patterns, one interesting thing I did learn about Chowder when I was researching it about a month or so ago was that they were one of the first shows to actually implement just using a moving pattern. Like, not really moving pattern, but it's like the characters move and then they have like a pattern just that's static and doesn't move at all. And I thought that was really cool and interesting to learn that, because I didn't know that that was something that was kind of new at the time. And it worked very well. Here I'm actually using some Crayola markers because I didn't actually have the right color. As I stated before, I didn't have a lot of the right colors for certain things, and I only had the right, the closest colors I could get were sometimes with my Crayola markers. And the best way I found in order to keep a lot less streaking is to do sort of like a border around the line art, or like anywhere you don't want the color to go over, and then just sort of like keep moving really quick in between that and try not to overlap too much. I mean, there's still some streakiness, but it's not as bad as it could be, and it worked out fairly decently. And then for the moving feet, I took the color, the purple, and I just sort of did more of those kind of spirally circular things just to implement the active motion, no actual solid color, just quick, almost like a tornado. And it works really well. And I actually go in there with a couple other, another color, at least one more color to solidify it. And I liked the white in there because it's almost like keeps kind of like highlights but not, and it shows that it's moving, and again, no solid color for the feet. And this is where my marker actually starts to kind of run out, which was upsetting. But it works though because it's for the tail, and he's supposed to be looking frazzled anyways. After I got all the base coloring done, I went in with some finer details. I wanted to accentuate Panini's lips a little more, and I decided to give her a little bit of eyeshadow. I thought that was kind of cute, and to also give some shading to her inner ears, because as I mentioned before, I wanted to add that, because that's something I like to do for my animals, or animal-like creatures. And here I'm going in with a brush marker, water-based brush marker, by the way, and I'm just sort of adding random squiggles and doodles. As I looked at the patterns that are on Chowder's clothing, and I did my best to replicate some of those, and I kind of added my own too, and I think it really worked. And this is exactly where I said, like I said earlier, this made me want to makes me want to make more patterns on clothing. I really think I'm going to have to start doing that, because this is like kind of cool, and it was really fun to do it. But yeah, I thought it looks really cool and everything. And of course, anyone who knows me, I love to make patterns. I do a lot of animal drawings where I make them out of different shapes. And this kind of really was something I liked and I already loved to do. So I thought it really worked out and was fun. And as you can see too, even though I have lines for his arms, I wanted to kind of see if I couldn't do just the continuous pattern like they do in the show without actually changing little things. And it worked, especially after I did some more shading. here I'm going in on the heart in the back. I decided to change my original idea of just having like a smoke heart and decided to do more of a, oh, what do they call it in the show? A powdered flart, as it was called in the show, which is basically a powdered heart cookie, or a sugar cookie or something. And I decided to make a powdered flart in the background as their heart. So, and I really liked it. And here I'm going in with a pen because I decided I didn't really like how it was looking. It looked too flat, and I want to add some shading. And in order to do this shading, I just did some hatching, which is just going back and forth, just little scratch marks, almost like making a bunch of hashtags and overlapping each other, and it worked really well, better than I thought, in fact. And then I also did come back a little later in order to put some like parts like Panini's foot more in the background, so I went in there with another couple lines, just to put a little more definition. I did sign this here, but I didn't like it. I tried using a white gel pen, and I realized it wasn't what was doing it for me. The problem is everything seemed too pink and purple. So then what I did in order to solve this problem is I grabbed my brush pen and I just went over the border of both Panini and Chowder, and anything that wasn't them, I just went and I made a big black line for the border to just like thicken up those lines. And honestly, I think it worked very well because it helped make everything just sort of pop off the background. And I might have to try this again as well, because I just loved how this worked out. It's a little different than what I normally do, but it really helped in many ways. And with that, it's done. Honestly, I thought it turned out really good. It's so cute.
Oh man, that drawing is just so cute. I am very happy with the different things I was able to do with the shading and the textures, and even incorporating the patterns from the show, while also kind of putting it in my own style. I just had fun with that. Granted, I will say I do need to get better markers at some point, but we'll see when that actually happens. But I liked it, and I hope you guys liked it too. There's nothing really else to say that I haven't already said in this video. I hope you guys leave a like and a comment, especially if you like, subscribe. Tell me comment down below who your favorite Chowder character is. Honestly, I gotta say, I just love Schnitzel. He's my favorite. The whole rada rada thing is just so fun to do, and I just love it. I love him. He's awesome. But granted, I love the whole show. It's just crazy, fun, greatness. But yeah, comment below who your favorite character is. As usual, I'll have my links to my Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, and Ko-fi down below. I do have commissions open, so on my Ko-fi. So if you guys want to get something like this, I am willing to do fan art. I have no problem making fan art for a commission. Just hit me up on there and tell me what you want, and I'll make it for you. As usual, there'll be videos somewhere up here that show last week's video, as well as something YouTube thinks is perfect for you. I hope you guys have a great week full of inspiration, and that you had a wonderful Valentine's Day. And I'll catch you guys all next time. Bye!